होना है ना ऐसे पहले से ही तो ये क्या मेरे रिकॉर्डिंग में उधर लिखा है मैंने हाई किया है उसको
मैंने होमवर्क किया था मैंने खेलने से ज्यादा हो गया था वही होमवर्क अरे मैं एक और सीखी तो हमने स्किप मारना है क्योंकि हमें तो पता नहीं है कुछ चैप्टर के बारे में बच्चा कौन सा चैप्टर रेगू मैंने कर लिया है तो ज्यादा खेल रहे हो ठीक है
मैंने हमारे सोसाइटी के
ये बुक पढ़ी थी साइंस
नाइस
बट मैंने ऑलमोस्ट सारा कर दिया से देखी थी कोई ना बोले नहीं
हमारा बायो को वर्जन हो गया
कौन सा
ट्रांसलेशन और ट्रांसलेशन दो ही है हमारे ICSE
यहाँ पर स्कूल में
दोनों यहाँ पर
हाँ सॉरी कैसे होता है क्या ट्रांसलेशन
इधर भरत बैठेगा तो पता चल भरत उधर
कॉन्सेप्ट देखते
ले जाएगा
उधर बैठेगा
देखिएगा नहीं
इधर बैठेगा ये ऐसे जाते हो मैं
कम करो
मेरे पीछे बैठेगा
वो सब नहीं हो रहा
अभी जल्दी से इतना इजी है
फ्राइडे वाले क्लास में नहीं इसके पहले वाले
इसका चैप्टर खत्म हो गया था लेक्चर रिज्यूम कर अच्छा था अच्छा था पिछले क्लास की बात
कौन से
पिछले क्लास की
जीवी
हां
बायो साइड में हां
हां
हां तो पता
करता है और तीनों से क्लास की बायोलॉजी से बायो
सुबह अरे गो डाउट डाउट तो
हां ये ना
पिछले फ्राइडे को सो इसमें हमारे कोई क्लास की ना हमारी
ना कौन हां भी सुन कर रहे हैं
हां अच्छा हां वो 6 का बता हां क्या करेगा
तब तो आएगा
सो आज तो भी फ्राइडे को तो ये ध्यान नहीं दिया था बाइक का ऑलरेडी इससे फूल बनने जैसा है क्या देखो ये याद नहीं कि फ्राइडे में है
तो पूरी की जैसे याद में मैं तो मुझसे ऑप्शन
ना आ गया था फ्राइडे को
कभी खत्म हो
थर्सडे को
कल क्या हो
ये हां तो आया था कल ये सब
अभी एक मुझे
बस 2 घंटे 2 घंटे का है ना
आज ये एक मुझे इंजेक्शन आता है सॉरी
मैं तो एक में नहीं था सर मेरा
मैं दो मैं ठीक है कुछ है नहीं सर
मुड़ा क्यों क्या हमारे सॉरी हमारे क्या
अरे तो मैं क्या है
पहली बात कर रहा था मैं वही सब छोड़ ए क्या बड़ा को क्या बोलते हैं ये देखिए उसका ये सब तो टेस्टिंग हो रही है ब्लैक को नहीं इनको पक्का लग रहा है अब बात है कि सीरियस नहीं के लोग सीरियस तो लिया ही नहीं क्यों ये से बहुत कूल बनते हैं
हाय हाय मीटिंग
और देखा क्या निकलेगा टेस्टिंग
क्यों एक्चुअली
वही सो टेस्टिंग
नहीं
मुंह पे सो दिया तो चलिए
एक्चुअली
सूर्य कुमार को नहीं लिया सो दिया हालांकि इसको लेसन दे
बिल्कुल दिया है ठीक है देखो मदद कर ये बता
वीकेंड क्या है
5 दिन होता है 90 वॉट्स पर डे में विकेट बचा के रखना होता है जितने देर विकेट बचा के रखना मेरा नहीं आ सकता दो बार निकलना
बट इसको भी देखते नहीं
एक बहुत बड़ा दो बजे में दो बार कर देते हैं वो वन मिनट क्या
कैसा है बड़ा
इधर हम
मैं क्या बोल रहा हूं
तो मेरा शॉर्ट पॉइंट को भी टच नहीं
वो बैठा मेरे पास बैठा वो कुछ बोला एक बार
अभी वो एकदम आगे बैठा है ना तो इसलिए वो कौन अगर मैं मेरे आगे कोई नहीं रहता मैं
वो फर्क नहीं पड़ता बट समझे दिमाग में घुस गया तू बंदा को बोलते हैं वन थिंग व्यक्ति को क्या आता है
भाई साहब तेरे को अच्छी आती है
भाई और ना मैं बिल्ड करता हूं खाने में
मुझे क्या दे रहा है इसका ये 10 घंटे पड़ जाएगा सवाल बहुत 40
बोला
सवाल बहुत बड़ा है
कितने देर से पढ़ता है
कितना पड़ता है टाइम क्या
फिर भी ऐसे
एवरेज 1 घंटा तो अच्छा था 2 मतलब भाई 1 घंटा पढ़ा
1 घंटा बैठते हैं सर से खुद पढ़ता कैसे जो तूने मेरे को बताया था फिर वो वर्ल्ड के बहुत वैसे मैं जो वो बहुत बता कैसे होता है
सिखाई रहा है
तो वो उसको एक
मैंने कोई मूवी में देखा था वो उसका लोग काम कर रहे थे
आईपीएस नहीं
बच्चों की मूवी थी बताएगा कौन सी
यार है बुरा लगा
क्या वो
उसके बाद में मेरे बात में
ओ
जब मैं मेरे बात में आके बैठ आता है इज्जत से कूल कर दिया कूल से
मेरे बॉडी से अच्छा कोई नहीं है
क्या
अरे मतलब
स्कूल गए थे क्या कर रहे थे क्लास सिंगर
अच्छा अपने कर अब तो आपको
इसके लिए कौन सी हुआ है
ठीक है
इसका आईडी क्या
मैं
नहीं मैंने लंबी और मोटी थोड़ी लंबी और अपने टाइम नहीं मेरे को के बारे में बोल रहे दोनों गाड़ी है
तुझे कौन
अनुपम
सर ऐसे तो अनुपम से पता कौन भाई तो अनुपम से पता कौन
अनुपम मिशन पता
अनुपम से पता
हां दिखाने अनुपम द्विवेदी कितना कर रहा है रोल मॉडल से बात की
क्या टेस्ट चल रहा है
Good evening. Last class, so many of you were absent, right? Not well. How come? Maths lecture में well, bio lecture में not well. ये कौन सा तरह का बीमारी है बताओ?
मैथ्स में आई नहीं ना
और पिछले दिन?
I had school.
हाँ.
I started.
Okay. So sad फोन के बिना?
मैं तो
तुम तो थे. आज दुखी नहीं लग रहे हो बिना तो फोन. Now, did we finish with genetics? हो गया हमें? We had done with this set of questions. Sex-linked inheritance over. Come on, try this set of questions. So we are done with this chapter. Let us start with the next chapter now. But before that, this is a new book over. This is a new book. New one. Try this. Try MCQ A. Try all the MCQ part and match the columns A, B, and C. Only this we will do. A, B, and C. Let us try with this. Some of these questions I had already given you earlier. So remaining is now A, B, and C. Try. I'll give you 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and then after that we'll discuss the answers. Fast.
C is done.
C is done. C was
हाँ,
what?
सीधा हो गया।
C was what?
Short answer time.
Achha, okay. A and B complete. A and B complete.
Okay.
B also done.
Yes, I have matching.
Okay, chalo. Then MCQ, just few MCQs left. Complete karo.
We're only left with mutation. We're only left with mutation.
That's the definition. Mutation you don't have much, just the definition. Just a small concept to study. That's it. Just you should know what is it. Done? Any confusion in MCQs? Any confusion? Got all the answers there? Crosses, dihybrid, monohybrid, sex-linked crosses, are those concepts clear? Clear? Keep reading. I'll give you questions maybe in the next class. Some extra questions to solve. Now let us go ahead. Assertion questions. Assertion questions we'll have to discuss. No? Assertion questions, let us discuss this. Let us take this. Okay, check your answers. Number 1, which of the following is phenotypic monohybrid ratio? Phenotypic monohybrid ratio in F2. What is the answer? Number 1, page 36. 3:1. If a pure tall crossed with pure dwarf, offsprings will be? Pure tall crossed with pure dwarf, offsprings will be?
3 tall, 1 tall. All tall. All tall.
Why offsprings will be 3 tall? Pure tall crossed with pure dwarf. You are talking only till the F1 generation, no? Huh? What is it, Riya? क्या confusion है? 50 tall, 50 dwarf मतलब 1:1 ratio you are talking about? ये तो कभी हो ही नहीं सकेगा. No? So think about the concept. Law of dominance was what? Pure tall, pure dwarf, all tall. Pure round, pure wrinkled, all round. Pure purple, pure white, all purple. Did we ever come across 50% or half of the clans purple, half white? No. ये तो कभी नहीं होता. All tall. 9:3:3:1 dihybrid ratio is due to? Due to what? Huh? Which law? Independent assortment. The ratio that you are talking about is explaining which law? Independent assortment. Plant with green pods, smooth seeds. Smooth meaning?
Yes.
Smooth seeds. We have talked about wrinkle, no? Wrinkle. So we were saying round and wrinkle. So something like round to understand now. A plant with green pods, smooth seeds. Green, capital G, smooth seeds. Small s. So which is a recessive trait? Smoothness. Greenness is the color. Dominant, they are saying. This is just an application. This is not about those 7 pairs now. Green is dominant. Smoothness is recessive. Okay. Will give rise to the following gametes. What type of gametes we will get from here? What is the pair of chromosome with this genotype? If I talk about this is the genotype, what about the pair of chromosome? You tell me first. What is the pair of chromosome for this plant? With these alleles, you have to think. How should I draw the pair of chromosome and how should I place the alleles? Huh? Tell me fast. Pair of chromosome. How should I place the alleles? Capital G, small g, small s, small s. How many types of gametes? How many types of gametes will give rise to following gametes? How many types of gametes? Here, look into the options. They have not mentioned 4. So that option is as it is ruled out. So 2 tarah ke gametes you have to think now. Not to talk about the concept of crossing over right now. Not to talk about concept of crossing over, only to think of simple division, segregation of the chromosome. Then what it is? Simple segregation of chromosome. This chromosome will go in the formation of one type of a gamete, capital G and small s. This will go in the formation of another type of a gamete, small g and small s. So what are the type of gametes formed? These 2 are the types of gametes formed. Okay. Is it possible that we think about the concept of crossing over and then understand? Usme bhi hoga. That also I can understand that yes, duplication of chromosome happening and this is the change. But after the process of duplicate, after the process of crossing over also, is there any change? Tell me. After the process of crossing over also, is there any change? Capital G and S still remaining together. So this G and S, if they segregate here, and this the concept I explain you now, is there any change? 4 gametes also, if I write, the type of the gametes is just 2. Even if I write all 4 like independent assortment, type is 2. So work out both the concept to clarify your answer. Disease color blindness is X-linked. Physical expression of a character is phenotype. Purity of gametes is linked to
Second law.
segregation. Phenotypic dihybrid ratio of F2 is 9:3:3:1. In human male, a sperm contains autosomes and X and Y chromosomes. If the mother is normal, father hemophilic, then 2 daughters will be carriers always. We had done those processes the other day. Sushila, colorblind man, married to Sushila, a woman, normal vision. Following combinations would be possible in their children. The man is colorblind and Sushila is normal. So what type of combination? Will the daughters, now think, what is the combination there? Colorblind. The man is colorblind and the female is normal. Is it possible in this type of a parental combination, is it possible the male suffer from color blindness in the first generation?
Carrier female and normal male.
Possible hai? Male will suffer from color blindness? No, male will not suffer from color blindness because this will always go with this will always go with this. No? Will the male ever suffer in this generation? No. Carrier females and normal males. Carrier female, normal male. Sons will not be colorblind. Will you be able to work out this type of process in the form of a Punnett sphere also? Yes? You made a mistake here. Now let us check those assertion questions. Okay? Now start with number 12. Whenever you solve these assertion questions, always be very sure about the statements. Write down the statement. This is the method I always tell you. Read the statement twice. Quite a number of times the statements that we put, a part of it correct, a part of it wrong. So you have to read the statement properly. First you write against the statement true, false, and then you look for the correct option. Let us start. 12. Heredity, basic fundamental unit of genetics. Heredity is the basic fundamental unit of genetics. Correct hai? That is true. Next, reason. Genes carry hereditary information. Genes carry hereditary information from offsprings to parents. Yes, it's offsprings to parents. False. That is false. So, number 12, assertion is correct. Reason is wrong. Reason is false. Okay. Number 13. Karyotype is the division of nucleus. Huh?
Karyokinesis.
Karyokinesis. Karyotype क्या है? What is karyotype?
It is a chart.
It's a chart. It is a picture, or it's a pictorial representation of a chart showing the arrangement of the paired chromosomes according to their sizes. Okay. So number 13, karyotype is division of nucleus. Wrong. Karyon means nucleus and type explains number size. Karyotype. Karyon means nucleus. Karyon means nucleus and type explains the number, type, size of the chromosomes. So here assertion is false, reason is correct. 14. Dominant allele can express only in homozygous condition. False. Reason, dominant alleles support recessive alleles, allow them to express even in heterozygous. Dominant allele, support recessive allele, help them expression, false. Both false. 15. Genotype is the genetic makeup of a cell. Genotype is the genetic makeup of a cell. Cell का कोई genetic makeup नहीं होता है. Genetic makeup is always of an organism. That's why I told you read the sentence complete, correct. Then you decide. Number 14. No, which one? Number 15. Reason: phenotype is the set of genes present in the cell of an organism. Phenotype is the set of genes present in the cell of an organism that expresses internal characters.
False.
External, and it is not a set of genes. So A is correct. No, A is also false. R is also false. 16. Daughter can resemble only mother and not father. False. Sex chromosomes of the daughter are received from both the parents. Sex chromosomes of the daughter received from both the parents. No? Daughter will always receive one X from the father, one X from the mother. Okay. So this set of questions we are done. Read the chapter. Maybe the next class I'll give you some set of questions to solve. Chapter on cell division, structure of chromosomes. How comfortable you are? Huh? What happened? You're asking something? Structure of chromosomes and cell division. How comfortable you are? Transpiration. Is it okay? Yes, she's asking for the third time. अनुज बताएगा न्यूक्लियोटाइड एंड न्यूक्लियोसोम में डिफरेंस क्या है?
मैम न्यूक्लियोटाइड
आदित्य न्यूक्लियोटाइड एंड न्यूक्लियोसोम में क्या डिफरेंस है? कॉन्सेप्ट याद रखना पड़ेगा. डोंट ट्राई मगिंग अप एट ऑल. अभिप्राय
Nucleotide is a repeating component of DNA. It contains pentose sugar, nitrogenous base, and phosphate group.
Correct.
And
न्यूक्लियोसोम क्या है?
and histones are coiled around by DNA. The entire thing is
The packaging unit of DNA and histone proteins, that is called nucleosome. Histone proteins in the form of an octamer. वो सारे concepts याद रखना है. अभी एक और बात पूछना है.
मैंने भी इसको इतनी बार समझाया है.
Certain things you get confused, it's okay. So इसीलिए revise करो. Keep revising the chapters. Keep revising the contents. Now let us go to the concept of photosynthesis. Let us start this chapter. Photosynthesis, you should be little bit aware about the terms, the overall equation. Let us start with this concept. Photosynthesis, what is the definition? The definition of this process, it is a biochemical process that we understand. This concept of photosynthesis that we are talking about, here this is a biochemical process that we talk about, in which the green parts of the plants undergo a set of chemical reactions in order to prepare organic food in the form of glucose. Okay, so that is the concept to understand. So as I am talking about the process of photosynthesis, what is the site of photosynthesis? Let us try understanding the aspects one after the other. What is the site of photosynthesis? Can you tell me? Site of photosynthesis would be what? The leaves and young green stem. And when we are talking about the site of photosynthesis, for the site of photosynthesis we have to understand Site of photosynthesis would be definitely the green leaves. We talk about the young green stem, and apart from the young green stem, the guard cells of the stomata, they also undergo the process of photosynthesis. So talking about the site, where does photosynthesis take place? Wherever chloroplast is present, photosynthesis will take place. Primarily, these are the sites of a plant where the process of photosynthesis would happen. Now, next to understand that the process of photosynthesis requires what? How does the plant get it? Where is the process reactions happening? So, the overall chemical equation for photosynthesis always should be written this way. We talk about 6 molecules of water. We talk about 12 molecules of 6 molecules of carbon dioxide, 12 molecules of water in presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, resulting in the process of formation of 1 molecule of glucose, 6 molecules of oxygen and 6 molecules of water. That is the overall chemical equation. All of you will write this. Take out your notebook. Certain things you have to know. This often is a part of your question whenever we talk about the process of photosynthesis. Overall equation में कोई mistake होनी नहीं चाहिए. You should be able to write down the overall chemical equation of photosynthesis: 6 molecules of carbon dioxide reacting with 12 molecules of water to form 1 molecule of glucose. Now that we are talking about that the carbon dioxide, how does the plant get the carbon dioxide? How is the plant getting the carbon dioxide? The plant is getting the carbon dioxide from where? The plant is getting the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. The plant would get the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. And what would be the process? The plant gets carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. What is the process involved? Which part of the plant am I talking about? Undergoing the process of photosynthesis right now. If I think of certain leaves, maybe now I'm talking about certain leaves. So what are these special features of the leaves to talk about? The leaves are constantly able to take in the carbon dioxide from the atmospheric air. From the atmosphere. What process? Which process is involved here? A process known as diffusion, definitely. Why diffusion? Because the internal environment of the leaves, when I talk about the internal environment of the leaves, they always have a lesser concentration of carbon dioxide as compared to the atmosphere surrounding. So that is the reason easy diffusion possible. Which specialized structures involved? The specialized structures involved are the stomata. Talking about how does the plant take in carbon dioxide? All this one after the other should be very clear. From where is the plant getting atmosphere? The process known as diffusion, and name the structure that is involved in this process, stomata. A basic concept of stomata already you know in the previous chapters also you had studied. Stomata majorly present where? On the lower surface of the leaf, specialized openings consisting of guard cells, etc. Talk about the water now. This also you had come across a full big chapter, you had studied on this. Now that I talk about the water, from where is the plant getting the water? The plant is getting the water maximally from the soil. What type of plant parts majorly involved here? The root hair cells. And which process? Osmosis. Which process is involved? Osmosis. So, how is the plant taking in the water? How does the plant taking in the water? The plant is taking in water by the way of the root hair cells, a process known as osmosis. And which type of specialized tissues, vascular bundles involved? The vascular bundles involved are all the xylem tissues. Again, the basic makeup of these tissues you are aware. Then the next component that we understand is the chlorophyll. Now the definition of the chlorophyll, the composition of the chlorophyll, very, very important. So the moment we start talking about the chlorophyll, we'll have to always understand where is chlorophyll present and what is its role, what is the composition, what is the definition that you should always write. So when we are talking about chlorophyll, what is chlorophyll? That's always a question there. What is chlorophyll? What should you write? A green colored photosynthetic pigment. What is chlorophyll? It is a green colored photosynthetic pigment. And this green colored photosynthetic pigment is formed or produced from where? A particular organelle. And what is this organelle? Known as the chloroplast. This organelle is known as the chloroplast. So I am saying that when we are trying to understand what is chlorophyll, it's a green colored photosynthetic pigment. In your paper, you also get a question, differentiate between chlorophyll and chloroplast. That's also a question there. Differentiate between chlorophyll and chloroplast. What will you write? Chlorophyll is a green colored photosynthetic pigment. Chloroplast, it's a cell organelle present in which type of cells of the plant? Chloroplast is a cell organelle. Now that I talk about what is chloroplast, then how do I define this word? Simple. Chloroplast, it is a cell organelle. And where is this cell organelle present? Majorly, the cell organelle is present majorly where? In the mesophyll cells. In the mesophyll cells of the leaf, also present in the guard cells, etc. So now that I'm talking about that, where is this chloroplast present? What is it? Chloroplast is a oval shaped cell organelle. And this oval shaped cell organelle is present where? Majorly in the mesophyll cells, in the guard cells. So now talking about the mesophyll cells, if you try understanding which group of cells are we talking about, if you remember, we were in the concept of transpiration also we were talking about such type of a section of a leaf. So these type of cells that I talk about, the layers of cells just below the epidermis. This is a section of the leaf. Now based on the thickness of the leaf, the layers of the cells will vary. But anyhow, the upper layers of cells are known as the mesophyll cells. They have a specific term. So I would say these are the palisade mesophyll. These are the spongy mesophyll. Palisade mesophyll always have got a very high concentration of chloroplast, very large numbers of chloroplast. So on an average, how much? Every cell can have almost about 40 to 50 chloroplast. One single cell. I'm talking about a section of a leaf where in a section of a leaf, if I'm able to understand almost about 100 cells, in every single cell 40 to 50 chloroplast. So the number of chloroplasts in a leaf is quite numerous, no? Many. So one single cell having almost about 40-50 chloroplast. Talking about a small square millimeter area of a leaf, almost about 5 lakh, 6 lakh chloroplasts. So that is the fair idea that how much of the chloroplast in a leaf. So in one single leaf, the number of chloroplasts is in more than lakhs. So every single chloroplast is undergoing the process of photosynthesis, the reactions of photosynthesis. So what is chloroplast? What is chlorophyll should be clearly understood. Now, when I talk about chlorophyll, something more you'll have to remember. What is the composition of chlorophyll? That also you are asked. How many types? What is the most prevalent type? So when we are talking about the chloroplast and the chlorophyll here, chlorophyll, green colored pigment I just now mentioned, but this particular chlorophyll present in almost 9 types. Present in almost 9 types, and considering that chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B is most prevalently occurring in the plants. There are almost 9 types of chlorophyll, and chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B mostly frequently occurring. They are most prevalently occurring in the plants. What is their composition? Composition, if you are asked, you are supposed to write. What is the composition of the chlorophyll? They consist of carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen and manganese. So what is the composition? Composition of the chlorophyll, basic composition, not component wise you are ever asked. The basic composition of chlorophyll, if I have to write, what is the composition of chlorophyll? The composition of chlorophyll here is carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, manganese. So carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen and manganese in trace amounts. That is a basic composition of chlorophyll always to be understood. So this will generally help you in your MCQ also. Quite often instead of manganese, zinc is put, magnesium is put. No, these are not the components at all. So chlorophyll that we talk about released from the chloroplast. Now we have to understand the basic structure of the chloroplast. Let us see there. The basic structure of the chloroplast. What is the basic structure of a chloroplast? The chloroplast always has oval shaped structure. Cut the chloroplast in a section, we try to understand what does the chloroplast majorly consist of. This type of stack-like structures consisting of almost 10-15 disc or plate-like structures there. So this plate-like structures or disc-like structures that we get to see, this is known as a granum. One granum. A number of them together I want to label and name grana. So what are the two prominent parts of a chloroplast? The two prominent parts of a chloroplast, grana and stroma. Let us try understanding which one is grana, which one is stroma. So here when I am saying that cut the chloroplast in a section, what are the two prominent regions we get to see? Grana. And this matrix, can you see the grey colored substance, ground substance shown in the figure? The grey colored ground substance is what is the stroma. What is stroma? But stroma would be nothing but those matrix-like structure consistency like the cytoplasm of most cells. This is the grana. What is this grana? Very important site of a chloroplast. What is this granum consisting of? Disc-like structures in stacks of 10, 15, 18. Each of these disc-like structure, what are they called? They are known as thylakoids. Each of these plate-like structures, what are these called? Each of these plate-like structures are known as the thylakoids. What are thylakoids? Thylakoids are the disc-like structures present in the chloroplast. What is its job? It is this particular region where chlorophyll is secreted and stored. It is this region where chlorophyll is secreted and stored. So what are thylakoids I mentioned just now? Thylakoids are the disc-like structures arranged in stacks of 10 to 15, 18 of them. What is the job of every single thylakoid? The job of every single thylakoid is to produce the pigment chlorophyll, secretion of the pigment chlorophyll and its temporary storage there. But now, again, something specific that we have to remember is that this entire thylakoid, which is in the shape of a disc-like structure, if I say, this is the entire thylakoid. And this thylakoid, what is the region? What is the specific location where the chlorophyll molecule is formed and stored? It is on the walls of the thylakoid. It is on the walls of the thylakoid that these molecules of chlorophyll are produced. It is not in the lumen. These are hollow disc-like structures. The pigment chlorophyll is always secreted in the walls and they remain attached to the walls of the thylakoid, not in the lumen of the thylakoid, remember. So now, the first concept that we are talking about is photosynthesis results in a set of chemical reactions, but what are the most important components required? Carbon dioxide, water, chlorophyll. Let us a little bit talk about sunlight. We'll go to the other side also. I talk about sunlight. Sunlight how? On what type of or what intensity of sunlight? Now that I relate the concept of sunlight and chlorophyll also to understand the process of photosynthesis. Can it happen at any intensity of sunlight? No. A specific intensity of sunlight is always required. I may talk about at the start of the day by 4 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock. No, the process of photosynthesis may not happen. Maybe there is little bit of a light there. But are we to understand the moment there is light and the process of photosynthesis starts? No, unless and until the strength of sunlight is not adequate. So what is that minimum unit of light required, or what is that minimum strength and unit of light required, quantity of light required to initiate the process of photosynthesis? That minimum strength or that minimum unit is known as 1 photon of light is very much necessary. That much strength the sunlight should have. So we come across that depends. From day to day it will depend. Now today we may come across that the process of photosynthesis must have started by 5:30. Tomorrow not necessary, it should be 5:30, it may be by 6:15. So but why are we talking about this variation in the time? Intensity of sunlight. The strength of the sunlight. So, how is sunlight and chlorophyll related? If the sunlight of the intensity of sunlight is very low, the chlorophyll cannot get activated. Intensity of the sunlight very low, the chlorophyll is not activated to trap an adequate amount of solar energy and initiate the process. But at the same time, on a bright sunny day, I understand the process of photosynthesis starts by 6:10, goes on 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. By 2 o'clock, the intensity of sunlight is very, very high, very strong sunlight. Are we to understand the process of photosynthesis also must be at its peak? No. By 12:30, when the intensity of sunlight is rising and rising, what's happening? The chlorophyll has undergone the process of denaturation. The chlorophyll has undergone the process of denaturation. What is denaturation? Breakdown, inactivation, breakdown of the molecule. So both ways we understand that this chlorophyll requires adequate intensity of sunlight. Intensity of sunlight quite lower, the pigment is not activated, sunlight or solar energy not trapped. And intensity of sunlight very high will denature or inactivate the pigment, and the process of photosynthesis, the initiation process will not take place. So all these concepts to understand, and just now I mentioned with reference to sunlight, we understand a specific photon of light is very much required. When we write down the equations, we will also use this word. Try using this in your answers also. So when we are talking about what is the specific intensity of sunlight required, specific amount of units, or the photon, a specific photon of light is very much necessary to initiate the pigment, activate the pigment and initiate the reaction. What happens when the strength of sunlight is too strong? The pigment is broken down. Okay. Now, if we just try understanding that, see there are one or two specific conditions mentioned in your book. Just underline them so that later when you study it's easier for you to understand. Can you see the paragraph? Too much light destroys chlorophyll. Look at that paragraph, your textbook. Too much light, and these numbers also, this numbers very important. You will get MCQs and questions on this. How many chloroplasts per cell? How many chloroplasts per square millimeter? This is very important. Underline in your textbook. This you should know. Very specifically, you should know this. Then, now that we are talking about, are you able to look into that? Look into that paragraph just below that yellow box there. Too much light destroys chlorophyll. Underline one sentence. You get this as give reason also at times. The grass growing in the shade under a stone turns yellow. Give reason. Can you see that sentence? The grass growing in the shade under a stone turns yellow. Did you see that sentence there? Too much light destroys chlorophyll. Are you able to look at the paragraph? Regulation of stomatal opening ke pehle. Got that paragraph? Now, too much light destroys chlorophyll. Just in that paragraph, look for that sentence. The grass growing in the shade under a stone turn yellow. What's that sentence? Now, what is the reason? The grasses, now it's a stone that we are talking about, and the grasses which are growing below the stone, under surface of the stone, why are they becoming yellow? Photosynthesis not taking place. What is the reason that they are becoming yellow? Chlorophyll is not able to get formed. Why? Intensity of sunlight not adequate. Intensity of sunlight not adequate for the process of synthesis of chlorophyll to form.
If we give artificial light to the
Artificial light to a certain extent. Artificial light also only when we are talking about certain amount of certain intensity of white light. So when we are talking about, say, photosynthesis can happen in all types of light. But when we are talking about, again, the strength and the intensity matters a lot. So underline that statement. This you will get in your school exams also. They will give you this question. The grasses under the stone and similar type of concept you should be understanding. What is that approach? What should you write? What are some of the key terms that go in that answer? You have to write chlorophyll synthesis cannot take place because of inadequate intensity of sunlight. And what is the relation chlorophyll and thylakoid? I told you just now. Chlorophyll and thylakoid, what is the relation? Secreted and stored. Both secreted and stored on the walls of the thylakoid. Now, there's one more statement. This also you will get in your question. Transpiration is the price that a plant pays for photosynthesis. We'll understand this process now. Now, when we are talking about, let us just complete with this part, then we go to the processes. So this is the raw materials necessary for the process of photosynthesis I was talking about. Now let us go to the other side. Now what is getting formed? What is the fate of these? So when I talk about that in the process of photosynthesis, what is getting formed? What is getting formed? Organic food in the form of glucose. What is getting formed? Organic food in the form of glucose. And how much of the carbon dioxide and water required for the manufacturing of one molecule of glucose in the mesophyll cells? One molecule of glucose is formed for every 6 molecules of carbon dioxide and 12 molecules of water. So these numbers are also very specific. These are very general things, but still students always make mistakes here. So we are talking about the glucose, primary product of the process of photosynthesis. What is it? Glucose. Looking into the number. Now when I say looking into the number, when we are talking about the number there, when we look into the number there, so here the number 50,000 and 5 lakhs I'm talking about for 1 millimeter, 1 square millimeter, and almost about 50-60 cells per 50-60 chloroplasts per cell. Now try understanding. Every cell of a plant, of a leaf, forget about a plant, every cell of a leaf is undergoing the process of photosynthesis. If a plant has almost about 1000 leaves, every cell has got 50 to 60 chloroplasts. So definitely that plant, every single plant is producing glucose much more than what it actually requires. Every plant produces glucose in excess. Give reason, justify. What should you write? Every plant produces glucose much in surplus. What should you write? Yes, you have to give these numbers at that time to answer your question. Every cell has 40 to 50 chloroplasts. A specific area of the leaf has almost chloroplast in lakhs. So that's the reason every plant produces glucose much in excess. So what happens to this glucose that is getting formed? This particular glucose will immediately get converted into sucrose. And then what? This sucrose, a part of it will get dissolved in the phloem cells. And what is this process of distribution of the food by the phloem cells known as? Distribution of food by the phloem cells, what is it known as? Translocation. So what is happening to the food now? The food that is glucose, which has been made by the phloem, the food which has been made by the chloroplast in the mesophyll cells. What is the fate of this food, organic food glucose? What happens to it? Immediately get converted into sucrose. This sucrose will get dissolved in the phloem cells and get distributed to all parts of the plant. Can anybody tell me what is the directional movement of the food in the phloem cells? Any specific direction? All directions. But is that all of the sucrose is utilized by a plant? No. A plant always produces food much more in excess. So what should happen to the surplus of the food? The surplus of the food will be stored in the form of starch. The surplus of the food is stored in the form of starch. What is this process known as? This process is known as polymerization. So what are we talking about? Two major processes associated with the concept of food making in the plant cells, the gut cells, the mesophyll cells. What are the two major processes? Translocation. What is translocation? The distribution of the food in the soluble form. What is the form of the food in which it is distributed? Not glucose at all, but by the way of, in the form of sucrose, by the phloem tissues. A process known as translocation, and then a surplus of it always gets stored in the form of starch, where in the root, in the stem maximally, in the flowers also, in the leaves also, in the leaf cells also. Now that this starch is getting stored in the plant parts, when will this starch be utilized? A day, a couple of days, when the rate of photosynthesis is much lesser because of the intensity of the sunlight. Especially now, say suppose I talk about a day when the intensity of sunlight is lesser, on a monsoon day. So that's why always we have come across, especially if you see for our region also, where it is stored in the roots, it is stored in the stem, in the roots majorly, in the flower, in the seed, majorly in the root and the stem. So this starch, now that we are talking about, will be utilized only when the rate of photosynthesis is much lesser. So that is about the glucose now roughly to talk about. What is the fate of the glucose? You get this question for 1 mark, 2 marks. What is the fate of glucose during the process of photosynthesis? What are the steps and the reactions? We'll go to this later. What is the byproduct formed during the process of photosynthesis? What is the byproduct? The byproduct formed is oxygen. What is the byproduct formed? The byproduct is oxygen. So if I'm talking about this leaf, so it is by the way of diffusion, and it is by the way of those small structures which are present on the surface of the leaf. Which are those structures I'm talking about? It is the stomata. The stomata itself is now responsible for the diffusion of the oxygen out from the leaf into the atmosphere. So what is the fate of this oxygen? Now in the later part of the chapter, we are going to come across from where is this oxygen developing, from where is this oxygen released. We'll come across certain equations to understand that this oxygen is actually released from the water, not from the carbon dioxide, though carbon dioxide also has got oxygen as a component. So later we will answer those questions also, that oxygen is actually released by the breakdown of the water molecule. So now, what is the fate of the oxygen? Oxygen is released by the process of diffusion, presence of specialized pores on the surface of the leaf, and water also as a byproduct. So what are the prominent products? Prominent products, all the three you will write in your answer. Name the main product of photosynthesis, you will write only this. Name the byproducts, then you will write only this two, then glucose you are not writing. So read the question when you are answering. Name the byproducts of photosynthesis, not to write glucose. Glucose is not the byproduct, it's the primary product. Okay. Now, are we understanding from this concept now that stomata is playing a major role in the process of photosynthesis? Yes. Stomata is playing a major role in the process of photosynthesis. Now, to understand, the rate of photosynthesis will be high when? During the day? During the day, should the stomata remain open? Yes. So if the stomata remains open, will the process of photosynthesis be high? Yes, because if the stomata remains open, the inward diffusion of carbon dioxide is also high. If the stomata remains open, then the inward diffusion of carbon dioxide is also high. So when we are talking about that, the inward, now if the inward diffusion of the carbon dioxide is high,
in phloem by translocation, sucrose is transported or glucose?
Sucrose.
Not glucose.
Not glucose. The glucose is, the moment the glucose is getting formed, it is just a transitory state. It immediately gets converted into a bit complex form. Sucrose is disaccharide, no? So the glucose is generally not distributed. Glucose immediately gets converted. They start joining. So this monosaccharide starts getting bonded and disaccharides are formed. They dissolve with the phloem cells. So now, when we are understanding this basic concept, we say that does the stomata play a major role in the process of photosynthesis? Yes. Stomata is very much necessary for the inward diffusion of carbon dioxide also and the outward diffusion of oxygen also. So for that, we'll have to understand how does the stomata remain open during the day. One concept to understand that how does the stomata remain open during the day, there are two theories to understand that. One is the sugar concentration theory. What are the theories which explain the stomatal opening and closing we are talking about? There are theories which explain the stomatal opening and closing. One most commonly explained is the sugar concentration theory, which with the reference of absorption in roots, that chapter also I had explained it is there in that chapter also, that is the same thing. Something new that we are going to come across is the potassium ion concentration theory. So this is a little bit new for you. The potassium ion concentration theory. Let us talk about the first one, the sugar concentration theory. So what is happening here? Look into this set of arrangement of the guard cells and the entire stomatal apparatus. This is the entire stomatal apparatus. I first talk about the guard cells. Bean-shaped cells, typical plant cells, with the chloroplast, vacuole. We are majorly to talk about these two parts. Since these guard cells have got the chloroplast, what should they be able to? They should be able to undergo the process of photosynthesis, manufacture the glucose molecules. The glucose getting dissolved in the sap of the vacuole. Also to understand that these guard cells have got what? Surrounding layer of epidermal cells. 2-3 layers of epidermal cells there. But how will these epidermal cells get the water? Can you tell me? By the way of? How will these epidermal cells get the water from the root? By osmosis, by the xylem. So we are just understanding that this epidermal cell nearby has got an arrangement of xylem cells also. So those xylem cells will give water to the epidermal cells. So this epidermal cell and this guard cell, when I compare, please listen attentively. This guard cell is manufacturing glucose and the sap is progressively becoming concentrated. What is that word to be mentioned? Sap is concentrated. What is the other alternative word for concentrated sap you use? The sap is hypertonic. The sap is hypertonic. Now that the guard cell is constantly making glucose, the glucose is getting dissolved here. The sap of the guard cell is becoming hypertonic. Is similar things happening in the surrounding epidermal cells? No. The surrounding epidermal cell also have a vacuole. It is not drawn here, but they also have a vacuole. But is that vacuole getting it concentrated? They are not going through photosynthesis. So they are just having enough water drawn from the xylem tubes. So is it not that these cells are hypertonic and this is hypotonic? More dilute, no? They have got more water. Then next what should happen? Water will move from way to way, epidermal cell to the guard cell. And this will continue for a long part of the day as long as photosynthesis is going on. 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 2 o'clock. So this is going on. The epidermal cells are constantly giving water. What is this process of inward movement of the water known as endoosmosis? As a result of endoosmosis, these guard cells are absorbing water from the surrounding epidermal cells and they are becoming extremely filled with water, turgid. Now that they become filled with water, now what? The gap between the guard cells widen. The guard cells are becoming curved, widen, happening during the daytime. This is known as open stomata. But by 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, what is the story? By 6 or 7 o'clock, is the intensity of sunlight adequate to carry out the process of photosynthesis? No. So now what is the condition? The condition is Now the glucose which was getting stored is all getting distributed. Translocation हो रहा है continuously, and storing also, polymerization and translocation both are happening. But by 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, the rate of photosynthesis has dropped. By 6 and 7 o'clock, still lesser. So is it not now, during the day, these guard cells have undergone so much of endoosmosis, have gathered so much of water, but for the last 3 hours, the rate of photosynthesis also dropped. So now, glucose is less, water is more. Glucose is less, water is more. These cells are now hypotonic compared to the surrounding epidermal cells. Now what do? They are giving out water to the nearby cells. A process known as exoosmosis. These cells are running short of water, limping, wilting. A condition known as flaccidity happening. Now, because of flaccidity, they are wrinkling and wilting, and what's happening? The guard cells elongate and the space between them narrows down. A condition known as closed stomata. What is the difference between stomata and stoma? Stoma is the opening between the two guard cells. What is stomata? The entire apparatus consisting of guard cells, stoma, and the surrounding epidermal cells. Clear? We'll continue again the next class.
But because of photosynthesis, transpiration is able to take place.
Yes.
So water is stored in the second type.
Epidermal cells. Water is stored, meaning during the day, so much of water they have supplied. So evening, what's happening now? They are running short of water, and the guard cell has so much. So the guard cells start giving water to the epidermal cell during the evening. You want to say something?
Because of photosynthesis in the guard cells.
Transpiration is the price which the plant pays for photosynthesis. We are going to understand the next theory also. So for photosynthesis happen, meaning because photosynthesis is happening, stomata is white. What did I tell you? Glucose, hypertonicity, and now that the stomata opens, the excess of water is also lost. Form of vapor. So that is the question there. Transpiration is the price. Plant को photosynthesis तो चाहिए, but since ये चाहिए, so the loss is water.
Water is
कुछ
lost.
पाने के लिए कुछ खोना भी पड़ता है, something like that.
It is losing water.
It is losing out water because now the plant has so much of water, outside is dry, so the water vapor goes out. Okay.
Yes, by संदीप सर ने बोला जिसको पीटी जाने जाओ और फिर उसको मैच करने को बैठो बाकी सारे लड़के चले खेलने
तो जरूरत है तो ना देखो
ना आइडिया है सुबह पे कौन है सर ने बोला तो वीडियो में उसके नीचे नीचे एक बार लगता है